Are you looking for a nice dashboard that looks like this, where you can monitor your NerdQX Plus or NerdQX++ or any other NerdQX devices or NerdX devices? Stick with me because I'm going to explain that right now. Hey guys, WantClue here. I hope all of you are doing really well and having a really great day. I want to make sure that you do know what we're currently looking at here and how easy it is to set something like this up on your own. It is super simple and straightforward. We do have two pre-requirements that you need to have. I'm currently running this on my Linux machine, but technically this would run on any other device as well, because we're using something that's called Docker. If you have no idea what Docker is, I highly suggest you to take a look on YouTube, look for other videos. What is Docker? How to install Docker? It is straightforward. It is super simple. And you can basically run this dashboard on any PC, or if you have a Raspberry Pi or a mini server or something like this, you can even utilize this to achieve a dashboard like this. So currently this is running on a server of mine, but what I want to do with you together today is to set this up in just one simple way. And then we are actually gonna take a look on this because we want gonna run this locally on my PC. So this right here is a dashboard that you can use to monitor your NerdQX, your NerdQX++, or whatever device you do have that is from the NerdX series, because they do have InfluxDB integrated into them. And InfluxDB is a database that you can run and where we can store data. And now this dashboard here is called Grafana, which we can then utilize to actually look at all the data that we do store in this database. So we actually don't need to take a look on the dashboard, even though if we take a look on it, it looks just beautiful. So it's not that bad, right? It looks beautiful. But anyway, let's hop back over. So this right here shows you plenty of stats. It is a fork, more or less, of the version that the creator of the NerdX, the NerdQX and the NerdQX Plus and so on, that he created. And he also does have a dashboard that you can use. It basically looks similar on a couple of things, but I modified it to be a little bit more nicer on all the things that I want to do. So huge shout out to PMax here from me, because I really love what he's doing, and he did a really great job. So this dashboard here is just a little bit modified when it comes to the things that you want to see. We do have stats here with basically the hash rate graph. We have the difficulty that we do have, the best difficulty overall here. And of course, this device is not running really long today. So yeah, the difficulty has not risen that far. We do see the shares, we see plenty of information. We have the input amperage, the ASIC amperage, the input watts that we do consume, the ASIC consumption. We also see the voltage that's going into the board. We're currently sitting at 10.97 volts, so we're a little bit undervolting here. That's not really that great, but the ASIC voltage is showing stable results at 1.25 volts, which is great. As well as we do see the temperature here and the uptime in general, and pool arrows down here. So let me scroll down maybe a little bit to show this to you. Here we go. Down there is pool arrows, but there's no pool arrows, so therefore there's nothing to show below that. And on the top, obviously, we do have this nice icon here to show if we found a block. We see the total best difficulty that we do have. We see the shares for the current session that we run on the device. And we see the hash rate in another graph. So you can decide what you want to do. The perfect thing about Grafana is you can do whatever you want with it, and you can modify it however you want. It is super simple and super straightforward, but we don't want to take a look on that. We want to take a look on how to set this up and how to get this rolling. The first thing that you actually want to do is come over to my GitHub repository. It's called Influx Grafana NerdX. I will add a README file with how to install Docker and how to get this up and running and started. It is really easy, so I'll do this after the video. But what we want to do, or what you want to do, is you want to click on code and download the zip, then you unzip it on your PC and you just go in there with maybe VS Code or something that you do like. Let's open up VS Code and let's take a look what we do have in here. We do see basically the folder does contain a couple other folders as well as a .env file. And let me quickly clean this up here. This .env file features a couple of interesting things here that you need to make sure to use. The first thing that it does give you is it gives you the option to change your username. I set the InfluxDB username and password to admin and admin password, the organization to my org, and it also creates a bucket. Then we also do have the Grafana username and password. This is what we do need later on to log into the dashboard that you just have seen. If I also make sure to actually make it a little bit bigger, you can see this right here. So it's really simple. We could change this to admin123, something like that, and it will spin up the container with this exact username and this password. So if you want to change that, then you can do that in here. But for Grafana, you don't actually need to change the password, because the first thing that Grafana will do, it will ask you, hey, you just logged in recently, make sure to change your password. So this is basically the first file that you want to take a look on. You can do this in either VS Code, in your local text editor, whatever you want to do. I just prefer to use VS Code basically for everything. There's also a file which is called the dockercompose.yaml, which is a file that allows you, let me quickly make this a little bit bigger here for you, which allows you to set up Docker containers as services. For example, we do have the service InfluxDB and we have the service Grafana, as well as we do create volumes in here. Everything is pre-configured in here, so we do set all the usernames, the passwords, the organization for the database, and so on. You'll get what I'm talking about in just a second, because we want to fire this straight up, and then we want to make sure that our NerdQX Plus is connected with this database, and then we will understand what all these things do. Basically, the InfluxDB is where the data gets stored, and the Grafana thing is the web UI. The dashboards that I've created are available in these files here. There's a Bitaxe dashboard.json, which is the modified version from Pmax. And if you want to do that, you can also change this. Everything is open source and available, obviously. So make sure to do that. In the data source directory, we will find the data source.yaml, which is actually the thing that you need to keep there, because this defines how Grafana connects to your database. So the only thing that we actually want to do is, if you want to do that, you can change your username. And on the Grafana part here, Docker Grafana init username, you can change this to whatever you like. Maybe you call it admin, or you call it WantClue in my example. And then if you want to change your Docker InfluxDB password and username, you can do this up here as well. It is super simple and straightforward. So let me fire up a console here. And what you want to make sure is you want to take a look on Docker. And you do see currently nothing is running on my Docker host here on my local machine. What we now want to do is we want to utilize this Docker compose YAML file, this one here, which is not that big, but does feature both services, the database and the dashboard. And we want to run docker compose app-d. You need to make sure that you do run this in the same directory as where this folder is. So the Influx Grafana NerdX folder, you need to go into this folder and then you can run this command. You do see now there are a couple of things going on that tells me, well, I created the network, I created a couple of volumes, and I created the container for the InfluxDB and Grafana. This is perfect. So now let's hop over to the web UI again, and let's type in localhost 3000, and you do see Grafana is spinning up. I want to put in WantClue and admin as the password, and now you do see it prompts me, hey, create a new password. So let me quickly do that. I just type in admin again because I'm lazy. And now this is the basic starting screen that you do get. To the top left, you can open the menu. And if you now click on dashboards, you will see the Bitaxe monitoring dashboard. And here we go. The dashboard is already there. Now what we need to do is we need to make sure that our NerdQX devices are connected to the database. So if you go over to the NerdQX and if you take a look into InfluxDB, we see we need to give it an IP address, a port, a token, a bucket, and so on. So let's do this really simply here. So the first thing that we need to change is the IP address. The IP address of my notebook here is the 16 at the end. The port we can keep the same. The token, we need to take a look into the environmental file, and we do see the token is this one here. You can also change this if you want to. I do recommend you to change it. If you take a look in the bucket, we use the my bucket. You can also change that. If you take a look into the organization, we just copy this. It's called my org, and we use the main stats here. We click on save. So now that we actually put in all these information in here, we can click on save and restart the device, which is important so that it does connect to the InfluxDB. And if you now take a look on the dashboard, after a while, it should appear in here. This actually needs a couple of seconds to go, but we will give this some time and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. And here we go. It actually just took a couple of seconds. It's not that much later. And we do see all the stats coming up here. So now everything is working. It is running locally on my notebook, and I can monitor the stats of my NerdQX Plus, my Plus Plus, and whatever you might have at home. You can also modify these stats however you like them to be. So this is just a brief overview of how to set this up. And I do hope some of you guys like this. There are a couple of prerequisites that you need to have, for example, having Docker on your PC. I'll make sure to update the README file in the next couple of days. So even though if the video is out and the README file is not there, it will be there in a couple of days or maybe later today. I'll see what I can do. But yeah, it is super simple, super straightforward to set this up and keep it up and going. And maybe I need to show you how to do this on a local server, mini server, maybe on a mini PC that you do have and where you run your Bitcoin node on there or something like that. Whatever. If you want to see something special about it or any other things, feel free to make a comment down below so that I do know what kind of topics you guys are interested in that. Till then, thanks for watching and keep hashing.